What's up, gamers? My name's Scyushi, and today we're going to be talking about Cube World. You guys probably already heard about all this stuff, which is pretty exciting. We're going to be leaving the 16 minutes of mage gameplay in the background and kind of be talking about some of the big changes that I'm noticing just in the gameplay, along with the fact that this game might actually release either September or October, so it could be coming out later this month, because Cube World is actually on Steam right now, so you can add it to your wish list. And even though as of right now, everyone's freaking out about this, everyone's like, oh man, this game's finally coming out, I say hold your breath, because we've been burned by this guy before, man. Like, this is a game that is like over 6 years in development, which I would argue it was, maybe like a solid year of development in total, and then he kind of abandoned the project for 6 years and only came back, a couple months ago, maybe 4 to 5 months or something. I don't know the entire time. Everybody's defense for the developer is that there's only one person developing it, but Stardew Valley was made in a year, and that's a single dev, so that's kind of a moot point. But either way, here's Cube World. It's not really any different, near as I can tell, as far as the core gameplay, which it's not like there's anything necessarily wrong with it. The world does still seem very empty, and in a lot of ways, I do still have a lot of criticisms about the fact that this is a game that has taken 6 years, most of all, it's like, I think it's cool. I'm really excited about this and getting my hands on it. I can't wait to end up reviving the Cube World series and actually having an influx of new players and new Cube World servers and stuff like that. That part of it always gets me. It's really, really awesome. It's the fact that, now we've got the game finally coming out and everyone acting like it was all on purpose. But anyways, we won't get into the politics of all that. I've already talked about that extensively in my Trove videos. Trove versus Cube World, I'd take Trove any day, because it's a game that was, kind of initially copying Cube World and then long ended up passing it in terms of content. Even though Trove is slow development, at least it's not like this. There has been a couple dungeons added to the game, and more notably is this map, which looks fantastic. I've kept up with his tweet posts, his Twitter posts and stuff on Reddit here and there. I'm part of the Cube World Discord, so they always announce whenever they end up hearing feedback and junk. And, this new map was kind of the big cream of the crop. As you can see, he's zooming in and zooming out, and it's adjusting itself in real time based on the actual world generation, and kind of giving a low poly version of a representation of what you can actually find out in the world. So he actually showed a tower. He actually just marked a village on his map. So it should make navigation a lot less boring and a lot less of a chore when we're playing this game, which is cool. And then we also see in the bottom left that, my face cam's kind of blocking it, unfortunately, but we see that there's a couple different abilities. So he can actually float as the mage. There's just the standard dodge. There's a teleport. There's firing a beam, and there's firing a ray, which is based on the weapon that you're using in Cube World. Based on the weapon that you're using, on the class that you're using, you'll end up having different spells or different abilities and stuff like that. And I always liked, the rogue and everything. But it's kind of cool that we get to see the laser ability that he was using is an ability that enemies normally would only use. So it's kind of like he took the content that was already in the game and kind of rearranged it slightly. And then we see some airships flying away, which just literally look like they're on the same AI as like a fly. So they just flew away off screen. It looked a little bit awkward to me, honestly. But again, I'm trying to keep an open mind about just enjoying this game for what it is, rather than, like, as soon as I start thinking about how crazy everybody goes and how everyone's gonna be like, see, we told you, if we never give up, he is going to end up releasing the game. But it's like, is he really releasing the game? Like, as far as I'm concerned, this is a failed project that we're just now seeing finally realized. And even then, it's like, are we gonna get early access on Steam? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, though. I'd be interested to see, are you those psychos that have believed in this game the entire time and think that it's gonna be the greatest thing ever made? I don't. I think it's going to be a really cool experience that will actually see an update to Cube World. I really hope that he doesn't abandon it. I hope we end up seeing continuous updates, and he definitely can't say that this game is not early access if it does come out on Steam, because is there an objective? I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter, because generally we're just looking at how cool the game is, and I really do like the world generation. You can see the whole biomes now. I do wish travel time hopefully would end up being a little bit more manageable, because there are going to be fast travel points as far as I know. And then now we actually see he ended up cutting to this enchanted wood, which more than likely is going to end up being a dungeon or something. If any of you guys are curious about like what the gameplay of Cube World is, I've got plenty of series of it. I actually have a series like from years and years ago. It was like a 50 episode series of me playing Cube World until I just decided to stop playing it because the game wasn't being developed, right? And then I played it more recently, I think maybe like last year or something like that, and I did it on kind of a multiplayer server with friends, and it was a lot of fun. Like, that's the thing, is I still very much enjoy the bones of what Cube World is. I just really want to see it expanded upon, you know? Because the combat is phenomenal. Like, this guy nailed a really, really good skill-based combat system, even more so than, you know, a game like Trove, where there's literally no skill involved. You kind of just have your stats do enough damage, or you don't do enough damage, right? As opposed to in Cube World, you can actually dodge, and it's, you know, you manage your sprinting or manage your stamina, because if you end up dodging, you actually have invulnerability frames and stuff. It seems here we've actually got like kind of, I don't know, maybe he's making friends with these NPCs or something like that. I would hope that you could end up hiring people around with you, or just getting like new abilities and stuff, or tips in regard. We actually see this guy ended up saying, I found a glider on the Telria rock. I don't need it, so I left it there, which that's pretty cool. That's a great way of getting a glider instead of having to buy one, which, I mean, I guess buying one wasn't really a problem because you needed to have the skill, like the ability in order to do it. Because the thing that was so cool about Cube World is that you have a very small set of abilities. Basically, you have 3 different builds or skill trees that you can end up having for your class. Like, there's your class itself, and then there's like 3 different subclasses within that just basically change the amount of damage you do based on the different abilities that you end up using. But then there's going to be the passive abilities that every character has. So that's taming creatures, riding mounts, riding boats, and hang gliding. And you had to level each of those up, which there's infinite levels in Cube World, which is something that's really cool. But the whole thing is that you had to work pretty hard in order to end up getting to the hang glider, because as far as I know, you had to have your climbing ability up a lot, because you can actually climb on anything in this game, very similar to Breath of the Wild. And I think that that's another reason why I'm so overly critical about this game now, is because back when this game first came out, it exploded. Like, this Cube World could have been as big as Minecraft. It could have been the next big thing. And that's why I'm just like so disappointed in the project, because I really wanted it to be the next big thing and see continuous development and see the guy, you know, make enough money that he could hire a team to end up working on the game. But instead he didn't. He ended up, you know, just kind of just abandoning the project, as I said earlier, and only recently just picked it up. And who knows why? You know, I've got a couple theories myself, but we won't get into that. I do like that there's a little bit more crowd control. There's a little bit more quickness to the combat. Like, it seems to be a little bit more under control, which is cool. I mean, of course, the strongest enemies in the game are usually the bosses, because it's really difficult to stun them. But let me tell you, when you're playing this game with your friends and you're messing around in a party and actually fighting like a difficult boss, this game ends up being really, really, you know, it's got a nice sweet spot of difficulty, because of the fact that it's skill based. So we were always fighting enemies that were way over, like, over our power. So here we end up having another NPC that says a big Yeti was discovered on some area over here. So it's really cool that you can get information from these NPCs in order to end up learning about the environment and learning about the biome. Again, taking full advantage of the new map. Like, I would say that that's probably the only noteworthy content update that we're seeing from the 6 years ago version of Cube World up to now. On top of, you know, there's more dungeons, there's just kind of the basic stuff, new weapons, a couple new abilities and rebalances and stuff like that, obviously, that he's posted on his Twitter and stuff like that. But the thing that I think is just the best about it is obviously the map. Like, it's just way better. But otherwise, we see it's kind of the same game. You're still just destroying logs and stuff. So now he's swapped over to Water Mage, and so his abilities have changed quite a bit, and it's a little bit more fancy. It's a little bit cooler. And here we've got him kind of hanging out, I guess, at a dungeon or something. Drokard lives in the Deadlands. When he is older, he traveled to the Galen Desert. Maybe this is just lore. Kingdoms of Groland lore increased to 20%. Okay, so maybe it's a little bit of No Man's Sky thrown in. So this guy's saying that he discovered a divine harp because you saw earlier he actually was using an instrument very similar to Zelda to end up activating like a res statue. I assume that's what that is. You know, time will tell. We'll see. I'm still really hoping, like, despite my skepticism about the entire project, I'm still like a fan of Cube World. I still think it's a great game. It just never went anywhere, unfortunately. And I'm really excited if it actually does end up releasing this month, especially because I think he said September 19th or October 19th, if I'm not mistaken, which is a pretty broad release date to just have it suddenly be like, oh, by the way, I'm releasing the game. So again, we'll see. Because we could end up having, you know, another 10 years of waiting for it. Like, who knows, right? I think he should just release it already. Like, just give us enough content and then just start developing it and actually working on it or something. Give us some more regular content. Again, though, I'm really excited about the public servers because that was one of my favorite things about Cube World back when it first ended up coming out. Because there was actually these servers that would have, like, maybe 50 or 100 people. And you would just fight world bosses over and over again because people would mod the world so that the world bosses would respawn on a faster timer so that you could end up just kind of fighting them over and over. And I mean, I don't know how much is going to end up being moddable or how much of the game is going to end up changing from that original version. But I do think that there's definitely going to end up being a lot of fun to have in this game. Just when it ends up coming out. I'm still more excited for Hytale. I've actually seen some people saying Cube World's coming out, but Hytale's not out. And it's like, Hytale has had like maybe 2 or 3 years of development and is already like looking fantastic. Like, Hytale's going to be essentially Minecraft 2. Cube World just looks like Cube World. It looks like nothing's really changed with it, which still a good game. Because again, the bare minimum of the game you know, was really, really good. Here's what I was excited to see is, you know, kind of a Zelda reference, obviously. Is this carrying him up to this floating island? Is that the point? Okay, yeah, it is. And there's like treasure up there. So that's pretty cool. I guess you have to have a certain instrument for it, which, you know, have a little bit of sense of progression and adventure, which is pretty neat. And then it's an amulet, which is actually a purple. If he's at the beginning of the game, that's actually an insane drop. Jeez. Because the other thing too is the game did end up having random drops, and the other thing that was really neat about it was that when you end up beating bosses and stuff like that, sometimes you could end up getting legendary items, and they would be unique items as well, and end up having like certain abilities that would complement each other with it. So, you know, I'm excited. I am actually genuinely excited about this. I don't want to just rant more than I have already, but I'm kind of showing you guys the gameplay. If you want to see the rest of the gameplay, though, I'll leave a link in the description. Then you could just watch it without having me talking or anything like that. But I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts about all of this news and let you guys know that, yes, I have heard about it, and I'm excited. You know, I'm fairly optimistic that the game is going to end up releasing sometime soon. I don't think it's going to end up being as exciting as everybody else thinks. I think that if you keep your expectations lower rather than too high, then you can just enjoy this game for what it is. And that's what I'm expecting to do with this game, is just enjoy it for what it is. You know, I'm not going to think this is going to be the next big thing, but maybe it will be. Who knows? Thanks for watching, though, everybody. Very much appreciate it. Chime yourselves, you know, chime in with your own mentions in the comments and stuff like that. I'm expecting there's going to be a bunch of people going, well, you know, I'm waiting for this game for years. It's going to be perfect, blah, blah, blah. Nah, it's not. It's just a video game. But I'm still excited about it either way. I hope that this didn't come off as an overly negative video, because I know that I tend to kind of go on a tangent whenever I start talking about Cube World. Like, I don't really have that many good things to say about the fan base and the development of the game. But if I just look at the game itself and just the gameplay, it's looking nice. Not to mention it actually has music now. Thanks for watching, though, folks. Smash like, sub for more. Cube World is definitely going to end up being a series that I'll play on the channel, so I'm really excited to end up having that journey shared with you guys. Sayonara, stay epic, everybody.